today we are going to be talking about affordable housing and how to maybe shift your mindset on how you look at housing when you're in the market to buy a home. Maybe think about some of the homes that you would have never considered before, you know, and that is kind of what I've been doing with my clients, because lately I've had several clients that needed affordable housing, you know, they had situations that required them to shoot a little bit under what they were approved for,
Right.
because they wanted their payment to be X amount of dollars, right?
Right, because a lot of people are cutting back on stuff, so that shows up in the housing market as
Right.
well.
Even though they were approved for way more, they're like, yeah, but I only want my payment to be this. And because of how the interest rates are and just their situations as a whole, we looked at properties that we would never consider before. One of the things that I just had happen actually is they got pre-approved. We started looking. But before we could lock their rate in, the interest rate went up. Like, interest rates are not coming down, contrary to what mainstream media says. Interest rates are not coming down. They have not made a move in the downward direction at all in the past several months. And we really did anticipate that they would come down.
Right.
But what happens is if interest rates come down, the price of houses are gonna go up.
Right.
Which that turns the current buyer's market that we have into a seller's market. So then the buyers are even more so kind of limited in the market.
Right.
And so one of the things that happened recently for us is that there was a little house that went on the market, and it was priced, God, it was priced really good. And there was a bidding war. And another house that was put on the market, like, 3 weeks later, also a bidding war.
Right.
And because of negotiating tactics and how we wrote our offer and our contingencies that we put into the offer, we were able to secure both of those properties for our buyers. One was a cash buyer, and then our other offer, it was a standard like FHA loan. But we put some things in that guaranteed that our client would get that property. I mean, it was close, but we did get that for them, and that's one of the things that we're really good at is thinking outside the box on these properties that people are after. You know, what can we do to help you get this property? Now, with the new administration, with student loans being reported on the credit, there are a lot of people, I didn't realize this, but did you know that 25% of the folks that have student loans are delinquent? 25%. Yeah. And so they've already collected quite a bit of that, which is good. I mean, it's good for the government, it's not good for the people, but they are reporting delinquent loans. And they're reporting the loans in general where, I mean, I always thought they reported the student loans, but now it's affecting, used to apparently it didn't count towards your debt to income, but now it does. So it's knocking people's ratios out of whack. People that were previously approved are now not approved. And they may have been working to buy a house, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, your credit's changed. Your credit score's still okay, but from what I'm understanding too, some folks, like people with really good credit, their scores have dropped like 100 points. Because now these loans are showing up, counting against their points.
Right.
They always showed up, they're just now counting against them.
Right.
People that had, you know, less than stellar credit, they're dropped 50 to 75 points. So that's a big deal. And what that does is you may still be in that realm of qualifying for a home, but your interest rate's going to be higher. Or maybe you get less house. Let's talk about houses, right? Like, what if you are helping somebody buy a home, and they have 4 kids, right? We'll say 2 boys, 2 girls, right?
Okay.
And they're like, we want a 5-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house,
Right.
or we want a 3-bedroom house with a den or with an enclosed garage or whatever, right? Or a way for us to convert the space where all of our kids have their own room. And there's nothing on the market because their price point, what they're comfortable, it's not necessarily what they're qualified for, it's what they're comfortable paying a month. Because with the interest rates, that makes your payment higher.
Right.
Plus, we're in Florida, so home insurance is higher now in Florida.
Yeah.
So there's that added layer of that's an annual thing that you pay. So if you pay in $1,200 a year in home insurance, that increases your payment by $100 a month. So you have to take that into consideration as well, right? So how would you had a situation where the people were looking at properties and they were like, I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Problem was they didn't have a 3-bedroom, 2-house budget. They had a 1-bedroom, 1-house budget. And they could have probably gotten approved for more, but that was the monthly payment that they were comfortable with, and that is what we had to find for them. So what we ended up doing is finding an older home that has 3 bedrooms. They're very small, and 1 bathroom.
Yeah.
And a very tiny kitchen, and then a very, very tiny living room. But hey, you know, the house is under 1,000 square feet, and there's going to be a ton of people living in it. But you know, it was well under budget, like $25,000 under their budget.
Yeah.
So that allowed him to feel comfortable, right, with that purchase. And sometimes what you have to do is show people, like, I found you this 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. Let's at least go look at it.
Right.
You know, the problem
Show
is
them the thing that fits their budget, that technically meets their needs, even though it doesn't necessarily check the boxes they thought.
Right.
That they went into house hunting.
Right. Sometimes there's an enclosed sunroom. You know, there or somebody's converted the garage or something like that that's not really showing up in the pictures. Or there's a potential that you could do something like that.
Right.
And if they can see past their own pride and they have the abilities to make something like that work and become a homeowner, then I think, in my opinion, you should show them all the options.
Right.
You should say, hey, what if I was showing property to was like, you know what I could do? I could put a divider in here and I could make this into 2 spaces so that it's not, you know, fully private, but there are extra walls in here for the kids. And like, if the rooms were big enough, that's what he considered was, you know, putting walls up in there.
Yeah.
I think our biggest concern right now with the economy like it is, right, with the interest rates not coming down. If interest rates come down, inflation's going to go up. Like it's like a double-edged sword, right? Price of houses will go up. It's just, the market will correct itself. It's just going to take some time. But while we're waiting, we have to come up with creative ideas to get people into homes that work for them, you know, to help them find spaces that work for them, for their budget, and not what they're approved for, but what they tell you they're comfortable paying.
Right.
You know, and then you ask their lender, how much is that?
Yeah.
You know, what's the max we can do? What's the max we can ask for seller concessions? You know, what kind of inspections do they need? Because I need to know everything up front so that I can tell them what their out of pocket is going to be too.
Right.
Because a lot of people that are looking to buy homes don't really have a lot of money saved up, and they're looking to just get in something, and they don't realize that they've got to have earnest money they've gotta pay a surveyor, an appraiser, they've gotta pay for whatever inspections their loan program calls for.
Mhm.
Not just what inspections they feel like, but on an
Right.
FHA loan, if you're in a well and you're on a septic tank and you're buying a double wide, guess what? You gotta have a structural, that's almost $600. You gotta have a septic tank inspection, that's at least $400. You gotta have a water quality inspection, that's another $250, $300.
Mhm.
You need a survey, that could be $800. Your appraisal, if I didn't say that, that's $700, I think, right now,
Mhm.
$700-800. And those are all things you're gonna pay for out of pocket.
Right, and this
Not
is
to
why-
mention, you need a 4-point, if it's 10 years or older, you
Mhm.
need a 4-point inspection.
And
So for your home insurance.
yeah, and that's also why it's so important that buyers work with agents as well, so that they know what to expect. The agent helps them.
Right. Yeah, an experienced agent can save you a lot of money
Mhm.
and can save you a lot of headaches and save you a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
A good agent.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that somebody's been doing it forever, somebody that just knows their stuff.
Or somebody that cares enough to learn
Right.
how to help you.
So we have 2 properties that right now in our portfolio that I would say fit the bill for affordable housing.
Mhm.
We have one that is 2 bedrooms that quite honestly that the master suite could be divided.
Mhm.
It's seriously big, so it could be divided up
Mhm.
in a way that would make it a 3rd bedroom
Right.
with some type of partition wall, a temporary wall. And then it has a really big yard, so plenty of outdoor living space, just not a lot of indoor living space. But
Mhm.
there's a huge screen front porch
Yeah.
that you could turn into a second living room, and
Yeah.
that would be a great space. There's a little outdoor area where you could grill. There's a hot tub.
Yeah.
And then we have another one that has an office, like a home office,
Mhm.
and it has a big yard too. So
Right.
both of those are under 225,
Mhm.
both of them.
Yeah.
So those are 2 properties that we have that are affordable and give you the space to kind of spread out as a family.
Right.
Just one of them, not so much indoor space,
Right.
you know.
And then the other one, it's 4 bedrooms.
Yeah, it's a 3-2
Three
and
bedrooms
there's
with that extra room.
an extra,
That
like
could
an
be
office.
an office or a rec room
Mhm.
or a bedroom if you wanted it to be a bedroom. Like there's so much potential for that extra space.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then
When you're looking for an affordable home, it's not always about what you qualify for. Sometimes your lifestyle, like maybe you want to be debt free in X amount of years, right? So part of that is we're going to help you keep within whatever you tell us your goal is, right? So if you tell me I don't want to buy a lot of house because I don't want to be house poor, I'm going to help you work within the constraints of what you give me.
right.
And sometimes you have to pick something that is maybe not exactly what you were envisioning, right? Especially in this market.
Right.
And that, by doing that, right, by buying less square foot, or by maybe buying a manufactured home and not a stick built house, you know, a site built house, whatever. That helps you become self-sufficient because you're debt free. That's one less thing that you have to pay for,
Right.
you know, or like maybe you have a lower house payment and then you can pay off all the debt that you racked up over the years.
Right.
So we have a buyer's handbook that we created that will walk you through the path of homeownership. And it takes you through how we work,
Right.
you know, what the steps are, et cetera, et cetera. And if you want to download that, we can put a link for that
Fill out the form with your name, phone number, and email, and you will receive a download link at the end of that form.
That about covers it for us. We just wanted to touch base with y'all. We're trying to do something every week, but we get really super busy, and sometimes, we'll just be here when we're here, right? We appreciate y'all viewing us, and if you have any questions, please reach out. And make sure you download that buyer's handbook, and we will see you when we see you.
Are you like,
The predator.